again. Today we're going to look at a photograph that's in the Art Center's permanent collection. And this is Prayer Beads. It's a photograph by Ron Johns. The reason I picked this to talk about is because it presents some really interesting values and textures. And when we talked about texture, we used a painting that had a very obvious texture. Some of that, the paint in that little painting that we talked about was probably about this thick off the canvas. And this is a photograph, so there's absolutely no texture to it. It's all the same. But what Ron was able to do in this photograph is look at all the different textures of the man's clothing and comparing that with the man's hand and the beads themselves, the prayer beads, that's the title. As well as the values that he's used to highlight the fingertips here and then the deep dark recesses sort of behind the man's hands that are behind his back. But what's really interesting to me about this is that although it's called prayer beads, and that's what we see, it's also a portrait. And of course, when somebody asks you to make a portrait, asks me to make a portrait, where are you going to start? You're almost certainly going to start by doing a person's face. But you don't have to use a person's face to make a portrait. Maybe there's something special about that person that doesn't connect to their face. And so I think of this as a portrait of this man because he has such unusual hands, and the hands seem to have a whole story behind them, just like somebody's face might. And so one of the things you might think about doing as a project at home here, and we'd really love to see it, is photographing maybe a self-portrait, maybe something of yourself, maybe your family. And if you think about maybe your sister's hair or your father's feet or something like that, if somebody has something that you really think of as being special or unusual, that might make an interesting portrait, even without shooting that person's face. So we hope you enjoy this project at home, and if you create a portrait that you're really proud of, please share that with us by posting it in the comments.